With the release of the new Zelda game, I decided to dust off the Switch, but unlike the first Breath of the Wild on the Switch, where I primarily played that portably, in this case, I'm playing the Switch and most of my video games mostly at home nowadays. So as a result, I want to have a controller to play it with, and my old Power A Zelda controller, for whatever reason, the joystick has just stopped working. It's stuck going to the left for some reason. The controller's pretty much broken as junk. So I decided to look at some of the other controllers that were on the market, and I actually found that this controller right here was on sale at Walmart for 25 bucks. So I decided to take the leap. I've had good experiences with PDP when it comes to their Xbox controllers, so I decided to give this a try, and I'm going to go over in this video if this is worth grabbing for your Nintendo Switch, and especially if it's worth using as a main controller. So let's take a look.
You lose. Perfect.
This is the PDP Faceoff Deluxe wired controller. I do believe PDP makes wireless versions as well. I haven't actually tested or tried those, so I can't comment on them. However, my impression of PDP for the most part is pretty good. We have one of their controllers on our Xbox Series console, and I think it's a great alternative to some of the more expensive Pro controllers. So first thing I want to mention is, out of the box, this controller looks really good. I like the actual faceplate it comes with, the Zelda Breath of the Wild stylized faceplate. It actually looks really well and it feels really good. The buttons themselves feel good. The joysticks themselves, which is one of my main concerns with most third-party Switch controllers I've used, they actually feel really good, as well as the D-pad even. So you have a premium feel. And when you're playing the games, the buttons are very responsive, and just like the controller I reviewed on the Xbox, on the Switch it's no different. The joysticks feel really good, and they feel really precise, which I might be overstating here, but I've used some very cheap Switch controllers. I've actually even used PDP's first generation of these face-off controllers for the Switch, and as far as I'm concerned, this is night and day. I find the joystick feels very, very good. It works well with most of the games that I've tested so far. Now, as well as that, one of the features of this controller is you have back paddles on the back, and those are programmable. You can actually change those out. Now, at first I was a little confused. I didn't realize that there was no PDP app like there is on the Xbox for the Switch, but what there is instead is there's a face button that you touch. It blinks when you're trying to map a button, and then you just select the button you want to map to one of those back paddles. Now, for me in a game like the new Zelda and even Breath of the Wild, I like the fact that I'm able to map the B and the X buttons so I can use my dash and jump. I find it was awkwardly placed with the original control scheme that you'd have on the standard stock Switch controls. So I actually like being able to do this, and I'm sure I'll find other uses for it on other Switch games that I play. I also want to highlight the fact that this does have customizable faceplates. You can actually swap them out, change them out. I technically have one with a Mario one that came with my first generation PDP controller that I barely ever used. You can change out the joysticks. So I do have, it does come with an additional joystick that you could change out. But this brings me up to my first issue with this controller. It advertises out of the box what's called a mod kit. So a mod kit that comes with, as I understand, extra faceplates, joysticks, D-pads, all that stuff. Now, for me, the only incentive I would have to buy one of these kits would be to get maybe like a Tears of the Kingdom faceplate or something. But if you look on the PDP website, if you look on Amazon, this doesn't exist. There aren't any of these being produced, at least not from what I could tell. Maybe I'm completely wrong, looking in the wrong place, but I couldn't find any mod kits at all really online, which is kind of my first knock, because if you're someone who does buy these controllers and you are going to use it as a main pro controller for your Switch, you're going to be in a position where you're pretty much limited to the one stock joystick that they give you out of the box, as I can't seem to find these mod kits at all. The secondary thing, and this is more of a minor thing, this controller does not have a detachable wire. Like, it is wired, and I know that in itself might be a knock for some people, but of course price is a concern for some people, as it was for myself. So what I'm trying to get at is, on the other PDP one I have, you have a detachable USB-C wire, so you can change that out, you can detach it, all that sort of stuff. This one is wired right to the unit itself. For some people, that might be a bit of a frustration, because then they can't customize the length or remove it to put the controller away after the fact. It's really something, it's a minor thing, but it's worth mentioning. And lastly, I want to point out that with this controller, while I like the controls and I like for the most part, how it feels, I think the home button is in the wrong spot. I keep pressing the home button when I should press start. It's a minor thing, but it's awkwardly placed as far as I'm concerned. I'm used to the home button being under the main buttons, and with it right there, I constantly find myself pressing the home button as I've been testing this, and that's kind of throwing me off. Otherwise, ultimately, and this isn't even like one of my other reviews where I'm saying, if you buy it at this price, this is worth getting. Had I known this controller was going to be this good, I probably would have bought it earlier, and I probably would have bought it for more. I spent, I think, $40 or something on the Xbox One, and I was thoroughly enjoying that controller. And I would have spent easily $40-50 on this one for the Switch. I think this is a fantastic controller overall, and it suits all my needs. It's just a bonus that I got it at $25 because, as far as I can tell, it's worth every cent that I've spent on it so far. So, in my opinion, if you're looking for a good pro-style controller for your Switch and you don't mind that it's wired and you also don't have the expectation that you'll be able to customize it very much in terms of the buttons and everything else due to them not really being available for purchase, I'd say this is a fantastic purchase. I overall love the look of it, especially because it matches the theme of the Zelda games, and I'm going to be getting really hard into the Tears of the Kingdom at the moment. But overall, great value for the money, and I heavily recommend getting this for your Nintendo Switch console if you're looking at an alternative to some of the other controllers that are out there.